I'm 30 years old, married to a 33-year-old man, and we're expecting a baby boy. The anticipation is overwhelming, but so is the chaos of preparing for his arrival. We're scrambling to get everything ready: crib, diapers, onesies, you name it. My mother-in-law, bless her heart, is the kind of person who's always busy, always involved, sometimes helpful, but often overbearing. Last week, she invited us over for dinner, promising a big request. I figured it was about nursery decor or maybe which brand of formula she swore by. Boy, was I wrong. Over plates of roast chicken, she dropped a bombshell. She wanted to be in the delivery room when I give birth. I froze, fork midair, to delivery room. That sacred, vulnerable space where I'd be at my rawest. I politely explained that only my mum and husband would be there. Her face tightened, lips pursed, and silence hung over the table like a storm cloud. Then she pushed back, insisting she's a grandmother too, just like my mum, and deserved to witness her grandson's first moments. She framed it as support, but it felt like a demand for a front row seat to my most intimate experience. My husband, to my shock, sided with her. The betrayal stung. I tried to stay calm, but her relentless pressure cracked something in me. In a moment of defiance, I snapped, "Fine. You can be in the delivery room when your son gives birth." The room went silent. My mother-in-law stormed off, and my husband, fuming, dragged me out before I could finish my meal. In the car, he tore into me, questioning what brain cell thought that jab was a good idea. I explained that his mum kept pushing after I'd set a clear boundary. He doubled down, saying her request was reasonable, and I was making everything harder than it needed to be. Then came the ultimatum. If his mom couldn't be there, he wouldn't either. Was he serious, or was this just heat of the moment anger? Either way, it lit a fire in me. Childbirth isn't a spectator sport. It's not about who gets to claim the title of grandma, or who scores the best Instagram moment. It's about me, my body, my comfort, my safety. Why is it so hard for people to grasp that a woman in labor might only want her closest, most trusted people by her side? The audacity of his threat made me question everything. If he can't respect my needs now, what happens when the baby's here? Should I designate my mum as my medical proxy to ensure my wishes are honored in an emergency? The thought alone is chilling. This isn't just about a delivery room. It's about respect, autonomy, and the emotional weight of family expectations. We're conditioned to prioritize harmony over honesty, to cave to demands to keep the peace, but at what cost? My mother-in-law's pushiness and my husband's complicity exposed a deeper issue. When does family become a license to override personal boundaries? It's a question that haunts every major life transition: birth, marriage, even death. We're told to grin and bear it, but I'm done playing nice. If standing up for myself makes me the villain, so be it. Now, let's pivot to another story. One that hits a different nerve but echoes the same theme: family overstepping boundaries. My son, a teenager, is a picky eater. Always has been. He sticks to pizza, chicken, steak, and pasta, safe, familiar foods. My wife, 41, is frustrated by it, but I'm 42 and don't see the big deal. He's healthy. His doctor confirms he's at a good weight, and he's working with a specialist to try new foods. Progress, not perfection, right? We went to my in-laws for a St. Patrick's Day party, and I brought a small dish of mac and cheese for him, knowing he wouldn't touch the corned beef. I caught my wife and her mum exchanging glances, whispering in a corner. At dinner, I plated his food, only for my wife to snatch it, dump it in the trash, and pile corned beef and cabbage in its place. My son, visibly upset, pushed the plate away. I confronted her, incredulous. He doesn't want that. That's why I brought his food. She smirked and said, he needs to try new things. He might like it. He didn't. He whispered he felt sick and wanted to go home. I told her we were leaving. And we did, without her. She came home later, screaming that I was enabling his pickiness and embarrassing her in front of her family. Now we're barely speaking, and her relatives are flooding my phone with passive-aggressive texts. Was I wrong to leave? Or is she wrong for turning a family dinner into a battleground? Forcing food on a kid, especially publicly, isn't about helping, it's control, plain and simple. My wife smiled as she dismissed my son's discomfort wasn't love, it was a power play. Studies show shaming kids about eating habits worsens their relationship with food, sometimes for life. A 2019 study in pediatrics found that pressuring kids to eat foods they dislike can increase anxiety and even lead to eating disorders. Yet, society cheers this tough love nonsense, as if humiliating a child will magically expand their palate. It's a cognitive bias, confirmation bias, where we cling to outdated beliefs like kids should eat what's served without questioning the harm. My son's not a project to be fixed. He's a person with preferences. Respecting that isn't weakness, it's parenting. Here's another angle, one that cuts deeper. I'm 49. Part of a sprawling family with nearly 30 cousins. One cousin, Fred, 35, has been estranged for years after a messy divorce. He has a daughter he adores but rarely sees, having quit his job to be closer to her only to spiral into unemployment. And he met Kara, a 45-year-old teacher who became his financial lifeline and, to many, his puppeteer. Their relationship alienated him further. He stopped paying child support, distanced himself from his daughter, and got into a physical altercation with his sister over Kara. When they married, the family boycotted the wedding. Now they have a daughter, Kimmy, 5, who's often sick and racking up medical bills Kara can't cover alone. I stepped in, offering to help with Kimmy's bills. She's my niece. After all, my husband supported me, and I felt good about it until a dinner at their house changed everything. While stepping out of the bathroom, a friend pulled me aside, and I overheard Fred mocking me, calling me a credit card and naive for helping them. He even brought up my mom's old jabs about my weakness. It gutted me. Those words tapped into insecurities I've carried since childhood. When I was bullied for being too soft, I confronted Fred, tears in my eyes, and told him I was done paying. He and Kara tried to backtrack, but I shut them down. Now I'm ignoring their calls. Am I wrong? Fred and Kara's betrayal reveals a harsh truth. Kindness can be weaponized. Behavioral psychology calls this exploitation of reciprocity, when someone uses your generosity against you, banking on your guilt to keep giving. I fell for it, thinking I was helping Kimmy, but I was enabling Fred's irresponsibility. The sunk cost fallacy kept me hooked. I'd invested so much emotionally and financially that cutting ties felt like admitting failure. But here's the controversial hook. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is say no. By shielding Kimmy from her parents' consequences, I was delaying the inevitable. She deserves better, but so do I. Let's shift to a mother-daughter dynamic that's raw and real. I'm 43, a single mom to a 22-year-old daughter who's battled mental health issues her whole life. I'll be honest, I never fully understood her disorders. Growing up, I was taught to bury emotions, to tough it out. That's how I raised her. Imperfectly. Recently, she invited me to one of her therapy sessions, excited for me to join. I agreed, expecting a light chat. Instead, it felt like an ambush. The therapist asked about my upbringing and views on mental health. I admitted I wasn't raised to think about it much. She smirked and called it ironic, then grilled me about family history of addiction and mental illness. I denied any major issues, but she listed things my daughter had shared, framing them as serious. I'd always seen them as normal family quirks, not problems. Then she lectured me about borderline personality disorder, suggesting my habit of dismissing my daughter's emotions mirrored how I suppress my own, contributing to her struggles. She even had the nerve to tell me how to fix my own trauma to help my daughter. After 30 minutes of this, I snapped. I called her a quack, stormed out, and left my daughter behind. She called me later, sobbing, and I told her to find a real therapist. I'm not mad at her, but I feel betrayed, like she set me up. Looking back, maybe I overreacted. But was I wrong? This story exposes a cultural blind spot. We stigmatize mental health while pretending we don't. The therapist's approach confrontational. Presumptuous triggered my defensive attribution bias, where I deflected blame to protect my self-image. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Dismissing mental health doesn't make it go away. It festers. A 2021 study in The Lancet found that parental invalidation of emotions correlates with higher rates of anxiety and depression in children. I thought I was protecting my daughter by teaching her resilience, but I might have been teaching her shame. The real controversy. Therapy isn't just for the broken. It's for anyone brave enough to face their flaws. I wasn't ready. But my daughter deserves a mum who is, finally. A story of a strained mother-daughter bond during pregnancy. I'm pregnant with my first child. Living in a cramped apartment with my husband, we set clear rules. No visitors for 3 months after the birth. No clothes or linens as gifts due to space. And we're keeping the baby's gender a surprise. My mum, who loves her frequent vacations and social whirlwinds, has been less than supportive. She's upset we didn't reveal the gender, claiming it made her friend's baby shower for her awkward. She's frustrated she can't touch my belly, I hate being touched, or take candid pregnancy photos, I hate photos. She even wanted to help decorate the nursery, but we've got it covered. Last weekend, fresh off a friend's 65th birthday trip, she called, asking to stay with us. I said no, it was last minute, and I was swamped. She exploded, accusing me of cutting her out of her grandchild's life. She cried, saying I ruined her grandma experience and made her feel unwanted. Even my dad, usually on my side, said I was being too harsh, that this was about her bond with her grandchild. I'm torn. I want her in my life, but her demands stress me out. Am I wrong for sticking to my boundaries? Pregnancy is supposed to be joyful, but it's also a pressure cooker for family dynamics. My mum's reaction screams entitlement bias, the belief she's owed access to my experience because she's grandma. But here's the radical stance. A baby isn't a shared commodity. My needs, my baby's safety, come first. Society romanticizes grandparents' roles, but boundaries aren't rejection, they're protection. A 2020 study in family relations found that clear boundaries during early parenthood reduce stress and improve family cohesion long-term. My mum's tears tug at my heart, but giving in now sets a precedent for years of overreach. I'm not cutting her out. I'm carving out space to breathe. These stories aren't just personal dramas, they're a mirror to our collective struggle with boundaries, respect, and the courage to defy expectations. Whether it's a mother-in-law demanding access to a birth, a spouse undermining a child's needs, or a parent clinging to control, the thread is the same. Family doesn't entitle you to someone else's autonomy. The controversial hook. Sometimes, love means saying no, even when it hurts. It's not about winning or losing, it's about honoring your truth. So, next time you're pressured to cave, ask yourself, whose life are you living, yours or theirs?